Welcome to Cooking with Gerry. Let's first go to a short video from this morning. Breakfast porridge for today. It's a brownish color because of the cocoa powder. Lots of good ingredients. Here, let me show you. Starts off with half a cup of water and 1 tablespoon of virgin olive oil. Yucca, peeled, washed, cut into pieces. Raw peanuts, about 2 tablespoons that were washed, soaked overnight, and drained. And 1 tablespoon, did I say teaspoon of the peanuts? I meant tablespoon. 1 tablespoon of flax seed, washed, soaked overnight, and using that water. They cooked on a low heat for about 5 minutes. Then I added some dried fruit that I washed and soaked overnight, and I included that water into the frying pan. There's some dates, cranberries, and raisins, and I added about 4 tablespoons of whole oat flakes. And those cooked for about 5 minutes or less. Then I turned the heat off and I added 1 tablespoon of pure cocoa powder and 1 tablespoon of alfalfa powder. Mixed it all in to make sure the powders absorbed the little bit of liquid, and then I added some pink salt and extra virgin cold pressed coconut oil. And it's going to be tasty. Lots of different variations you could choose from depending on what you like. So you saw the tasty breakfast type porridge, which for you might be more suitable for a lunch or a dinner. And the important thing to say is that the raw peanuts were soaked overnight, and I changed the water this morning because I only used half for the breakfast and I have the other half in the frying pan. The flax seed was also soaked overnight. I think it's important because the shell is very hard and it's easier to digest when it has that chance to soak overnight. Those peanuts and the flax were washed and rinsed beforehand, and I let them soak in clean bottled water because the tap water is well water and it's not so clean. And the same thing with the dried fruit. I washed them and soaked them overnight in bottled water. That water I think is okay to use if you wash them beforehand. Same with the flax seed. I like to use that water that it's soaked in. It creates kind of a gel, and I think that's beneficial. The water from the raw peanuts I don't think is suitable for eating, so I removed that water before cooking it. Now I have peanuts again for the second time in a row, and it might be a mistake for some people to have peanuts 2 meals in a row, especially if you have digestion problems, because it's a very densely packed food. I just have a list of what I wrote down so I wouldn't forget. But if you soak it overnight, you remove the lectins, which is the chemistry that the plant produces as a self-defense mechanism against insects or predators that might eat the plant. Roasted peanuts, a lot of people eat, but they're not so healthy because the roasting process damages the food, and the oil that's normally used is vegetable oil, and it's not so healthy, and there's usually too much salt. Is it a better snack than potato chips or pretzels? I don't know. Both of those snacks are highly processed foods, and the potato chips also usually deep fried, not so healthy. And both chips and pretzels usually have salt. So let's get started on what I wanted to say about this meal. Now, I've done the cooking process already because we've done this many times and it's the exact same. I put about 3 or 4 tablespoons of water with 1 tablespoon of virgin olive oil on a low heat. I added cabbage and celery, both washed and cut up into smaller pieces. I added the raw peanuts that had soaked overnight, the flax seed, about 1 tablespoon, and also about 1 tablespoon of sesame seed, which can also be soaked overnight, but because the shell is not so hard, I put it in just now while I was cooking. And it cooked for about less than 10 minutes, and it's been cooling for about 5 minutes now. I added 2 pinches of coarse grained pink salt and about 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Let me show you what it looks like. There it is. Healthy whole foods. And what I am going to add is sprouted black-eyed peas. Let me show you. I'll just change this angle a little bit. So here's the black-eyed peas that have been just sprouting for about 4 days. The process is very simple. You soak them for a day. Here is the next batch I have going. These are chickpeas. I washed them, rinsed them, put them in clean bottled water. I'll let them soak for a day. I did that this morning, and tonight I'll change that soaking water. Tomorrow morning I'll drain it and then start the process about 2 or 3 times a day. They need to get wet so they stay moist, and then they'll sprout. My first time doing it didn't work because I was using this thick paper towel and I don't think there was enough airflow. So then I started this time using, it's like a mosquito netting. I had this covered and it allowed a lot of airflow, and it was also really convenient when you add water. It's also important, I think, to stir it, but stir it gently so you don't knock off the roots that have just started. And then I would put this on top and drain it. Once in a while I would let them sit in that fresh water for a couple minutes before draining it. And today is day 4, I think. And because I don't have a fridge, they are all going to go in the frying pan, which is one reason why I did everything beforehand and let it cool down, because I don't want the heat to kill the good bacteria that has been developing on these sprouted beans, which are actually seeds. I think if I were to put these in soil, they would probably grow into plants. Sprouting beans, seeds, really good for the gut flora. It's food for the probiotics, for the good bacteria that's in your digestive system, specifically in the gut, which is the small and the large intestine. So that's my meal, and I'm also going to add this avocado, which is ready, but I don't want to cut it open until I'm ready to eat, because avocado turns brown very quickly. once it's opened. So I am going to enjoy my meal. It's vegan, so that's a bonus. Plant food is great for the gut flora, and it'll be very nutritious. For yourselves, as I said with the earlier video, there are so many options of what you can add depending on what you like. Try and make things different. Try not to always have the same 3 or 4 vegetables. One way they say it, they meaning the experts, is choose the rainbow. Lots of different colors, lots of different vegetables, and it'll mean lots of different food for your good bacteria. And the stronger your good bacteria is, the stronger your immune system will be, and that means your overall health will be improved. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.